I feel like before it made sense. Now they don't know what they're doing.
Phase four, they're including. Well, see, this also this timeline is all off. I'm looking at an old timeline, but I guess that was included.
What, Endgame?
Maybe
I don't
we're
even know
just in a
anymore.
bad time right now.
Spider-Man No Way Home was the end of phase four. Is that what happened? I
mm,
don't even know anymore. All right. And what's up, y'all? And welcome to another episode of the For All Nerds Show. It's your boy DJ Ben Amin, aka Bernie Slanders, aka Baron Benzemo, aka Quentin Quarantino. Toss a coin to your ninja, Charlie Brownish. Lightwork got me here in the spaceship tonight. And as always, I'm joined by
Tatiana King, the Grand Duchess of Tech, also known as the Little Mermaid, Trash Ketchum, Dark Chocolate Phoenix, Tatiana Hannah, the King, and Kodak Blackwoods.
and we have a very, very special guest tonight. Please introduce yourself to the audience out there.
Hey, Nadya Martinez, aka Gotham Geek Girl. Happy to be on with you guys. It's been a while.
And like I said before, this is a very special episode because we are here to review Captain America Brave New World. That's right. In theaters this Friday, I can't remember, February 15th. Is that 15th? Friday 14th?
14th.
It's the
Valentine's Day?
14th, Valentine's
Wow,
Day.
dropping on Valentine's Day.
Interesting choice.
Interesting choice. Big move for Marvel.
Date.
Yeah, yeah. This
not
is
a lovey-dovey movie, but interesting.
Nah, it's a tough date movie right here. You know what I mean? This is like tough love right here.
It is a little bit of tough love.
Yeah, I'm not, you know what I mean? I just don't think this is not a first date movie. This is an established relationship. You got to have an established relationship before you take her to see this one.
Also, to establish so everyone understands, we are going to potentially be revealing spoilers. So we are warning you now. We're not going to be saying everything that happens in the movie, but we will be revealing some things that we've seen, as all three of us have seen advanced media screenings. So this is your one and only final warning. Thank you. Continue.
Yeah, but it's not going to be much spoiled in it, you know, more than you've already seen in the trailers. Like, you already know the big things if you've seen the trailers, like the Red Hulk is in this film.
That's not a spoiler.
Yeah, so I mean, beyond
There's stuff that pops up that they don't show in the trailers that I think
Giancarlo Esposito is playing Sidewinder.
That's not what I'm
not
talking
a spoiler.
About. Not a spoiler.
So, all
not
right,
talking about that.
Yeah, so I'm not really gonna get into much more than that. My first thoughts on it overall was I enjoyed it. I didn't enjoy it where I was like, oh my God, you know, this is the greatest joint ever.
Yeah.
But, you know, for a movie out in February for Valentine's Day, this is a solid, you know, Marvel flick.
Okay, yeah. Nadia, what was your general thoughts? Loved it.
I liked it. I think it's a good way to start 2025. I didn't love it. It wasn't like a holy shit blown out of my seat. Like, you got to see this like tonight. But I still really enjoyed it. I think it's a good film for Sam. Like, I think he shows us that he's like worthy of the shield. I just think a lot of my like minor complaints are more so like Marvel related MCU type stuff, which we get into.
Okay, that's fair. I share both of you guys' sentiments. I thought overall it was a solid movie. It wasn't my favorite. It wasn't bad. If you know, grading it, I think I graded it B minus, C plus, kind of right middle of the road. Has some strong points, has a lot of notes from me as well. Some things they could have done without, but overall still a solid film. For most MCU watchers, I would say that. I don't think there's anything surprising that happens in this film. If people were looking for something different or out of the ordinary from the rest of what you've generally seen from Marvel, I don't think you're going to find it here. But you will find solid screenplay writing. And I know that sounds very plain and blah, but that is the best.
Yeah, that was not very like, ooh, solid screenplay
it's
writing.
Solid. It's you know why?
Nice
you know why? Because I've even hearing it and how you guys are explaining it. Like, you're just like, oh, it was good. It wasn't bad. Like, this middling view of it. I don't know. I want to give it more than a middling thought, but again, I thought it was cool.
Yeah. I thought it was cool. You know, like, okay, I think the high points for me was, like Nadia said, I think that Anthony Mackie definitely proved himself as capable of carrying the lead role. of carrying the shield and the lead role in the film. I'm not sure. My man who played, I knew his name yesterday, and now I can't remember it. The man who played the Falcon. I
Danny
thought
Ramirez.
Danny Ramirez. Danny.
Danny Ramirez is his real name. Right.
Yeah, Danny Ramirez.
Torres,
I think him and Anthony have great chemistry on screen.
Yeah.
Where oh, I almost did spoil that. Yeah, there's a certain, cameo that was like, oh, that was great, but it was like I was happier with them. I was happy with them as a team. I really like that. I really like seeing them together rocking. I could see more from Danny. It's addressed in the movie, but like the lack of super soldier serum.
Is this a high point or a low point?
Okay, sorry.
Is this not that we're doing high point things? The lack of super soldier serum is glaringly, painfully obvious in this film.
There's just so many points where they like, why don't you just shoot them?
Nadia, do you have a high point while Ben laughs about this? Do you have one of many high points you want to share about?
Damn. All right.
You thought this movie.
They're right there.
Let's see the start. To quote the film,
yes.
Anthony Mackie proves he deserves a seat at the table, which I think was like one of the themes that was very important in this film, especially being like a black man, him becoming Captain America. When you see America and the shit show that we are, it's definitely a very important theme. I'll get into what also didn't work for me about that in a bit later, I guess, when we'll talk about like what didn't work for us.
Yeah.
But I think overall, I think that theme kind of worked for me, that he proves himself worthy. And like we already know what Bucky's doing, I guess. He's doing some other stuff with another team. And apparently they mentioned like a congressman or something. So I kind of like the dynamic between him and Joaquin. I think they were kind of fun. It was more like student teacher rather than competitive. So I kind of like that element too. It was like teaching the next team, because they kept hinting we may get like a new Avengers. Well, not new Avengers in this case. A second Avengers 2.0, I described it as.
Yeah.
So I kind of like that dynamic between him and Joaquin.
They actually waterboarded us with, there's going to be another Avengers. We need another Avengers. Like, I get it, guys. Calm down.
Soon. The theater's near you.
A strength I thought about this film, I thought the casting and characterizations were very strong. I will say that Mackie, despite all the doubts people have and the things people want to say about him, correct or not, he does stand tall as Sam Wilson. He does stand tall as Sam Wilson, going through that real life struggle of how do I be enough to hold the mantle of what Captain America is? What is Captain America? All this other stuff. So you do see that played out very strongly with Anthony Mackie performance. You can tell that he has the humanistic side of what Captain America is supposed to be, right? Especially when you then add on the intersections of blackness, being a black man, and then in America and everything that comes along with it, obviously. Y'all mentioned Joaquin. I thought Joaquin was like the bleeding heart of this film, and in a great way. Like, yes, the connection, it's obvious from Jump Street, the connection between him and Sam. And then also, he is very interesting when, like, you ask people in the world, like, if you could be a superhero, what would you be and why do you want to be it? And a lot of people don't have any real answers, right? Or it's like, oh, I just want to walk through walls, or something, really corny or really just kind of basic. Like, for Danny Ramirez, or I should say Joaquin Torres, for that character to like really discover himself in this film and discover his purpose, and really another like class on, with great power comes great responsibility. This was kind of an offshoot of that. I will also say, like, the rest of the cast, obviously Harrison Ford. He's a legend.
No, we can't just say obviously. We got to talk about how good
we will. I'm gonna just get through this fast so we can get to what y'all got to say about this. But legendary. That's more to it. But I'm gonna say to stamp it, legendary. Giancarlo Esposito, unbelievable, fucking insane, lethal as fuck. Carl Lumbly, proud, triumphant. His return as Isaiah Bradley. I was really happy to see him get a lot more screen time. And honestly, I mentioned characterization. This was almost like a long episode of The Falcon and the Winter Soldier. mixed with some other pieces. And I remember, Ben, I mean, you and I remember reviewing that series. Like, we actually truly enjoyed that, or we enjoyed what Malcolm Spellman, who was also one of the screenplay writers, was trying to bring to the table. So
yeah,
characterizations, casting, very, very strong.
Speaking about things that we loved, I definitely want to talk about Harrison Ford's performance, because I thought he was exceptional. And I mean, down to everything. And it's funny because all I was thinking about watching it was the interview where they were like, hey, you know, how'd you prepare for being Red Hulk? And Harrison Ford's like, I'm prepared for it. Nobody tells me anything. I just walk on set and do what I'm doing, you know? And
he was be himself.
Yeah, and oh my God, I don't know who prepared or what he was doing, but his Hulk out moments are absolutely hilarious. When that man was on the sub gripping the pole, pause, he's like, he turned back to Shorty like,
you wouldn't like me when I'm angry. Like, it's all of the great, like, scene chewing that you would expect of, like, even like an 80s version of the Hulk. Like, he does that, but brings it to 2025, but in a way that just works. I think it only works in this context of this film, because I don't know if it works anywhere else. And then, like, that coupled with, actually, for him specifically, really good CGI, like his conversion from Harrison Ford, well, Thunderbolt Ross, but his conversion from that to Red Hulk was actually, in my view, really well done. He actually looked
really well done,
really good as Red Hulk.
No, really dope. Like like you said, the CGI of Red Hulk when he's Red Hulk was fire.
Yeah, specifically. I got some
notes,
and he was also filmed using motion capture.
Okay.
They
fucking put all the fucking motion capture buttons all over every inch of that man's face. And when I say that was him, like, it didn't, lots of times when you see people turn into characters, quote, you can tell that there's like a difference, you know, there's a clear line and a divide between the person and the character. Like this, you can feel like, yeah, that's Thaddeus Ross as Red Hulk, right? It's just, they're one and the same. It felt clean, like a clean transition. I can't say that for everything in the film, CGI wise.
I was trying to hold it in because I'm like, damn. Yeah. I like Giancarlo Esposito, my man. Man.
His Sidewinder is off the chain.
I think I liked him more than I like his Sidewinder.
Okay, I see what you're saying.
Yeah,
speak more on that.
All right. This is something I didn't like. I'm not sure if y'all peeped this, but like, okay, the very first shot of this dude is like a shot of him from the back, and he's got a little circular symbol on his back.
Yeah, the Serpent Society.
It says it twice. It's like, it says Serpent Society. Like, why the fuck are you wearing bags?
Why is he identifying himself? Why are you identifying your clandestine villain organization? What's the difference between Hydra? Like,
they didn't have badges that said Hydra. They did not have badges.
Yeah, it's like they wanted to like honor the comic without being comic accurate, but then like,
they went really goofy instead of like just being comic accurate and having them wear the silly mask.
Here's the thing: when you
they gave him blue eyes.
They did give him blue eyes. When you saw, it was obvious context. When you cross over the military-industrial complex with Marvel, this is what happens. Because when you think about it, like, you got to identify the Army, you got to identify the Navy, you got to identify the Air Force, you got to identify Serpent Society as well. So, but I did like him. I did like I just particularly felt he was a believable and powerful villain. Like, Giancarlo can fucking act his ass off. So, like, what else can I say? He can really do any character. He can do a soft character, a hard character, a lethal assassin, whatever. He can deliver it. And I felt like he delivered Sidewinder.
I liked him. I think he was a little underutilized. I would have liked to see a little bit more from him, because although he wasn't the main antagonist, I kind of liked him more. What I enjoyed with his character though was that, like, he's smart. So even if he's facing like a hero, not to say like Batman mentality, but like thinking ahead. So I like that part where like he basically uses Sam's vulnerability, because Sam is still like too nice, and Sam always tries to like diffuse the situation, and he kind of like used that to his advantage, like, oh, he's gonna try and talk me down so I can just stab him real quick. Like, I feel like he already had in mind like how Sam's gonna react.
Facts. During that fight scene, that was one of the more compelling fight scenes for me between Sidewinder and Sam, because it was always like surprising. Like, he was like, surprise, motherfucker, I'm gonna shoot you through my coat. Like, he was like jumping. Like, I was sitting there as he was, Sidewinder was doing shit. I literally sat there out loud, yelled, oh shit. Like, I didn't expect him to kind of, come at him like that. So it was truly, I agree with you, Nadia. I would have liked to see him. I actually would have preferred him more than another villain.
Yeah.
I mean, we had to talk about that other villain. We do have to talk about.
Are we still talking about good things?
Oh shit! Right. Okay, I thought the score was really good when it was the score. When it was Annie Up, I was.
When it's the soundtrack versus
honestly,
yeah.
Some of the movie felt like it was two different movies. Like you said, some of it felt like I was watching an episode of a TV show, and I mean that in not a good way, honestly. Like, just the shots just looked very static, very like, okay, talking head. And then some of it looked like, yo, and even with the action, some of the fights were like, okay, whatever. And then some of the fights were like, yo, this is lit. You know what I mean? Like, this is lit.
Which
and like,
is a good thing, because the fights, more or less, the fights were interesting.
Yes, like when Lumbee went off and tried to whop Harrison Ford, and that whole sequence and him running and the cops chasing him, and the music during that scene, like the intentional or intrinsic score was really fire. But like, then some of it just wasn't as much. But like, I thought that shit was ill. I thought I liked the fight between the Hulk and Red Hulk and Falcon. I thought that was dope. I mean, Captain America. Sorry.
We're going to talk about that too. I have a comment about what you just did.
Okay, yeah. Excuse me. He is Cap,
No. It's not a bad thing, but I got a comment.
That lack of the super soldier serum might be why I'm still calling him Falcon, I'm sorry. Like, if you had the super soldier serum, I could call you Captain America, but,
Right.
There was some great, it's like some shit I don't want to spoil because it was just so good for me. But there was some really great symbolism, right? I mean, some really exceptional, Kendrick Lamar level symbolism going on in this film.
Can you share
one? Red Hulk casually destroying the Washington Monument on his way by it.
That was one of my highlights. That was actually one of my pluses.
One of my pure highlights. And if we're going there, will say this. And once again, huge spoiler alert before this sentence, shout out to our editor, put something right here, because Red Hulk standing on top of the goddamn White House as it burns beneath him was iconic. I mean, I need it on a t-shirt. Like, it is amazing. Yeah, and that's just one of those things, because, the movie is like a silly, I'm sorry, when it comes to the politics, it's a silly Marvel movie. Like, it very much has a lot of, we got to do this together, and the very first shot you see, the very first thing you see is Harrison Ford standing in front of a together sign. That is his campaign promise, I guess, or whatever. And there's a lot of that in this film, which I get, America needs right now, but we're far past the point of doing it together. We are now under a constitutional crisis and hell knows what else, like a coup, basically, a bloodless coup right now. So, shit's going down. So the idea of doing it together is some bullshit. So yeah, I'm sorry. I'm not feeling that one.
I do have one more highlight. Even though most of the tone of the film is serious, there were some comedic jabs and quips here and there that were actually funny and subversive. You keep joking about, but that's actually a line that Sam mentioned, just about the fact that he should have took the fucking super soldier serum.
Yeah,
like you physically see that on screen about the implications of not doing it, and then what
people
the character
had no real response. There was no
that.
Yeah, there was just like
no response to it. Right?
It's like, well, I guess.
But it's just like seeing the character like work his way through that. They try to market it. The other character try to market it as both a strength and potential downfall. But seeing everyone grapple and try to negotiate between that point was very interesting and actually very funny throughout the film for me. So it made me laugh. So I count that as a positive thing. So
when Red Hulk is palming your head like a basketball, it is time to take the super soldier serum. Like,
give me some compound V right now.
Like, that is the moment, dog. Right there. I need a screenshot of that. And that's like, I should have had a V8. You know, I should have had that super soldier serum. That man is holding his head like.
Nadia, do you have another good thing?
Do you think that's also why they definitely like threw in that Joaquin line, like, you're the one that I aspired to be? Like, he's
but it ain't working, to the other line. I'm fucked up and you in the hospital.
They had to connect it to the line like 20 minutes prior when he was
Bucky.
When Sam was talking to Bucky, it was like, I should take that shit. And Bucky's like, no, man.
Something to aspire to.
Something to aspire to. I said, that's some bullshit. You need to take the serum, my guy. Like, come on.
I didn't, since we are saying, you know, I guess we are going full, you know, all spoilers now that we said that man's in the movie. I thought that was a great scene, but I also thought Bucky had nothing for him when he was like, yeah, I should have took the serum. There was a pause there. There's a bit like, and then he was like, nah, man, you know, people aspire to be you. But there was a pause where he was just like,
you're going to need more vibranium.
Yeah, you should have, you know, no doubt.
Nadia, did you have any other like highlights?
He had his head like a basketball.
Stop.
He's crushing his head.
I guess on the field of battle. Tying into that, like, hero to aspire to be, I guess I kind of like that as like a closing kind of like conversation, because it's like Joaquin is like new in this world and like, you know, got his ass beat, but Sam gets his ass beat, and it's kind of like, oh, I could do this too, like,
right?
But he's the one that's relatable, because like not everyone has like super, you know, soldier serum. So it's like, holy shit, I could be an Avenger and not have any powers.
No,
like,
you can't.
You don't gotta tell me.
Yes, he can. Hawkeye doesn't have any powers. Black Widow didn't have any powers, and they was Avengers.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hawkeye did not
Black
have powers.
Widow's had some type of, you know, something going on.
I'm talking about from the MCU.
No, even in the Red Room, she had something going on. Something.
What's something that was superhuman?
Better than whatever these two got.
A life of abuse.
A life of abuse. Like, what did she get? That was
shit. He could have used
punch
that life
through
of
walls
abuse.
like Cap and the rest of them.
Because he got a life of abuse in like
and we
5
all
minutes.
know Hawkeye ain't got shit but some exploding arrows. So,
damn, like, I'm just like, dog, you went up against Thanos last time out. And you didn't be like, nah, bro, it's time for the serum.
Nah,
like,
bro.
You know? Like, no. If he doesn't have the serum in Doomsday, I'm gonna be tight, bro. It's over. Like, no, ain't no way.
Like, he gonna need to add adamantium to his wings and like slice people up. Like, you need something.
You don't need more than that. Like, there ain't nothing. Them wings is like
but
that.
See, this is the conundrum that they did not have to do, but now they've put themselves here. So what if they decide down the line, a movie or two, oh yeah, we are gonna give him the serum, Sam? Wouldn't that erase all of this aspirational bullshit you just tried to teach me in this film? Now you've nerfed him for life. He cannot ever get that, or you undermine the underlying values and lessons and education of aspiring to be the best human in the world. Like,
and couldn't it also be kind of like a nudge to Isaiah in a sense? Because it's like, this man has been through so much fucking trauma for 30 years and was tortured, and like, you're his friend, and like, he has like a whole mentor thing, but it's like, you're willingly taking something that was like given to me unwillingly, and I was tortured my entire life. And like, that connection they built, I kind of feel like that could be some kind of tension, like, oh, you want to take this shit?
Right, the shit that I damn near died for, the shit that I was put away and incarcerated for 30 years and all this stuff. Yeah.
Yes,
it's like a slap in the face. Yes, man. It's like a slap in the face. It's also like, well, I just got palmed like a basketball.
This man is casually destroying the Washington Monument, and you want me to go ban him?
But Ben, this movie also teaches you can talk people down. You can talk them down through the. You don't believe you can? He talked them down. You got to be. I mean,
that's when I say this is a silly Marvel movie in terms of its politics. Like, it's an enjoyable movie in terms of its like action and all that, and the idea that the black man is Captain America and all that feels great. But when the idea that you can talk down a monster, a raging monster who's taking control of the White House is hilarious.
I guess that brings us to the lowlights, not the highlights.
Wait, hold up. We shouted out Bradley. We shouted out.
Yeah.
The
I wish I saw more. I
good.
mean, I think Carl Lumley had okay screen time. You know,
Yeah, he could have used a little more.
I could have seen more of him, but also it was like I could tell they didn't really quite know exactly what to do with him. Besides, like throw him in here and there, and besides him being one of the catalysts of that, and that's in the trailers. Him being one of the catalysts of attacking the president. Like, okay, it's like he's a symbol, but he just even in his use in the film is still very symbolic as opposed to more tangible.
Here's your
that
suit.
Makes any sense. What'd you say?
Harrison? Here's your suit back. You know, like yeah. What about $1 million?
Well, Ben, did you have anything else besides we go with the lows?
I like I said, I thought some of the action was really dope. The use of the Celestial finally, and where it had been all these years was nice. Celestial Island, I thought that was a dope idea. And then
thank you.
The reveal of adamantium coming out of the Celestial is fire.
Yep.
Me, that I like that because that's always what I said about Marvel or the MCU in particular. I like because like taking different concepts that in the comics weren't connected and connecting them in the MCU. So it's like that way it doesn't just have a million different things. Adamantium, where the fuck does it come from? Oh, it just comes from somewhere else. Instead of it coming from the Celestial, which makes more sense. That's dope. So I thought that was really dope.
But it does come from us. They're still saying it comes from him. They're mining the Celestial for the adamantium.
Yeah, that's what I mean. But in the comics, adamantium is like some naturally occurring element, as far as I know, right? I don't know. Who knows where it comes from?
I thought it was from outer space, but okay.
I think it does come from outer space. I mean, I know they
from a comic type shit.
But that's why it was a pro and a con for me, because it's like it's the Celestial being. This should be some huge next level type shit, and that's all they're doing. Mining.
Well, it's dead now, so it's basically it's no better than the moon. It's just a place to mine.
But it was just like, oh, we didn't like the Eternals. We scrapped the whole whatever was going to happen next. So let's just use this dead Celestials.
And you know what? They fucking had to because it's too huge, literally,
to like
figuratively,
not bring it up.
Ignore. And they did for fucking like almost 10 years just to be like, okay, we have a use for it. So I think it's a pro and a con. Yep. That is definitely a pro and a con for me. A pro that they used it because I was just like, finally, thank you for
finally. This big ass hand.
I have no idea how this gets into Wolverine's bones from here.
I do.
Like the niggas
they said Japan and America, so Japan and America, and you know the whole story of Wolverine, Japan, and all that. So they're gonna use that through line. You know they are.
Like where the X-Men been this whole time.
And then like, how old is this man when he gets this stuff put into him?
Who the fuck knows, Ben? Which multiverse version are we gonna get this?
Give us a new Logan. That's a whole nother conversation.
Yeah. All right. On to the stuff that I didn't like. There's no easy way to say this. I thought the Sabra, or whatever was a waste of time.
Yeah.
And I just feel like the movie was very chopped up because of I guess various things, but that was something that like I don't want to say I didn't like, but I feel like that there was a better version of this movie that got buried because of politics and because of other things. Because I really trust Malcolm Spellman, and I know as a writer he wouldn't introduce the character Sabra unless he wanted to say something about that.
Did he do that? Because there's 3 of them that wrote this. Well,
but he was the original, writer. He started it all. So, and as far as I know, she was in it from the jump.
Something tells me that wasn't his version.
And I think the reshoots is when other writers start coming in.
I agree.
And then they start taking stuff out because I think what it was is they had something to say about Israel, and then it went down, and they're like, oh, we can't say anything anymore. And so because of that, edit. Because there's like one thing like me and Nadya were talking about after we saw it. There's a shot of Shorty where she has on like a super suit. She's wearing a jacket over it.
And it's basically the Israel flag colors.
Well, they're trying to hide shit.
Like, might as well throw a member of the IDF on screen, but okay.
They could have just used any Black Widow.
If my tone doesn't give it away, I could have done without the inclusion of Sabra at that point. If it was so chopped up from whatever the original approach was that it changed and to scrap it all the way, because the end result, was it worth it? Like, it's not clear her purpose at this point, besides just an extra throwaway character. She's only billed as an ex-widow. So what? They're a dime a dozen.
Yep.
You're going to see them in the next fucking film with the dime a dozen widows that we're about to see. You know what I'm saying? Like, and was it worth the controversy? Because there's still controversy about her inclusion. There was controversy when it was announced that she was going to be included. And then they were scrambling around like, oh, it's not going to be who you think, da, da, da. And they even try to be slick and throw a line that she says in the movie about people can change, because she was talking about Thunderbolt, but she was talking about herself. I'm like, I see what y'all try to do, and I don't like that shit. She should not have been in this movie. I don't see the point. I don't see the point, and I really don't care who got something to say to me about it. Tell me, what, if you erase her from the movie right now, what changed? What did she contribute to the film or the characters or the progress of the plot?
He could have had any right-hand man.
We need crickets right there.
For real. Did her character, and forget what you personally feel, did her character do anything to advance the plot?
Crickets. Shout out to Fantastic Frankie. She was at our screening as well. And she also said this, that the Black woman assistant as well could have been Adora in disguise, and a much better use of our time than, Sabra. Because she also vanishes from the film basically after my man hulks out, and then, that was the end of her. And
you talking about Layla?
I forgot her name.
Layla Taylor. Are you talking about the CIA agent or Secret Service agent? The Black woman. Her inclusion irritated me a bit just because of, I don't know what they were trying to do there. Like, it's kind of like a character trying to, it gives me pause, because it's kind of like you're trying to draw from real life, like Black women trying to be the balance point. Like, you know how early in the movie Sam is talking about, oh, I got somebody on the inside, and I'm like, the other Black person, great. So it's the Black woman, right? And then the Black woman's like the head Secret Service agent for the president, and I'm just like, and you can tell she's trying to excuse. She's not with the bullshit, but she's also not. She's trying to excuse him. She's trying to play that line, and I guess that may have been one of the things they were trying to negotiate from a story perspective. But I'm also just like, but you also didn't give her enough. She was just that person that was always on doing this balancing act. Like, if you are going to make her feel purposeful, give me more than that. And I like your idea, that you mentioned, you and Frankie talked about, like, if she was Adora in disguise, that would have made way more sense. They talked about Wakanda 50 fucking times, might as well have been. Like, it was interesting that there seemed more obvious connections to be made versus what ended up on screen.
Even his wings being from, vibranium in them. And after he starts getting, palmed like a basketball, they show up for Bucky. When his arm goes bad, they in the room immediately. But this man's wings.
Wakanda did show up, because remember, that's also like a callback to Black Panther's armor, his suit. Like, when I say Wakanda showed up, I mean in spirit, right? The spirit.
Yeah, that's what I mean. But like, once he starts getting served, why don't they show up?
That's when the ancestors come and saves you, Ben. Do they not come when you're getting served? When you at your lowest, the ancestors come and swoop you up to help you.
Ain't no ancestors come through though. That's what I'm saying.
Where was the ancestors? At the very end, Ben. I mean, the ancestors of the Jala, of the Wakandan plains, came through with the power. The power to talk him down. Is that the power of the Black Panther?
You know what? That's the funny. This man does do a lot of talking, like, to solve his problems. Like,
because he don't have super soldier serum. The fuck else he gonna do?
That's what I was saying. He always tries to diffuse the situation by talking first. Then it's like, nope, we gotta throw hands.
He got that and the spirit of the Black Panther. That's what he got to save him.
Steve Rogers was about them hands and them feet and everything else. And not so much here.
What y'all feel about Samuel Stearns?
Oof. All right.
I just realized what I thought he was, what he reminded me of. Continue.
Okay, huge Hulk and Leader fan here. Like, huge, going back to the comics, everything. Leader's one of my favorite villains.
I like Tim Blake Nelson, the actor.
Tim Blake Nelson
as an actor. I like him
as an actor. During the press conference, he said that he needed to grow as an actor to play this version of the Leader. I was surprised by that statement when he said that. I thought he was great in the first one.
He was giving Engstrom Levy to me.
I know that. I know. Trust. I know that.
I was trying to remember.
He was giving more angstrom than the leader for me.
And the problem is
that is a great one.
That the version that they attempted to do is from the comics, and it predates Angstrom. Like there is a leader version where he's green with the brain, and Angstrom comes well after that. But because Angstrom beat him to screen, people around the world are gonna be like, "Oh yeah, he's doing Angstrom Levy." And it also looked like the mushroom shit from
from
Last of Us. He looked like he had the mushroom.
The cordyceps.
The cordyceps on his head.
But that's CGI though. I'm sorry.
Yeah, and just there went like he had the Kang problem, right? Of like being a villain and they're trying to make him badass, and he has these niggas and he just walks out the room. Like he has some type of sonic boom beam weapon that he is, using very effectively on
very effectively.
Sam. And very effectively. Like he got him. And then he just turns it off and it's like, all right, I'll let my goons beat you up. And not one of his goons has to
because that was part of his plan. Remember, he wanted to get away at that time to do the next thing for the next thing.
Shoot him then? It's like none of his goons had a gun.
Plot armor.
That's what I'm talking about. Like, you cannot put your hero in a situation where it's just ludicrous that he gets out of it, because it doesn't make him seem heroic anymore. It just makes him seem like, oh, okay, come on, man.
You think that was ludicrous that he turned it off? He didn't want to kill Sam right then and there. That wasn't the time he wanted to kill him.
Why not? No.
That was kind of
Sam says
he was doing with that machine.
You think these guys are gonna delay us? Are gonna stop me? And he's like, no, they'll just delay you. Mm-hmm. But why wouldn't he want him stopped? Because he wanted him stopped.
Why does the evil professor gives this 10-minute long speech before he presses the button to blow up the planet?
See, that's a bad movie when that happens. Like that's 1950s, screenwriting. Watchmen came out in 1989, and in Watchmen, my man says, "You think I'm gonna sit here and tell you my plan like a bad serial villain? I did it 45 minutes ago." That was 1989. You can't do that after Watchmen comes out. You can't have a dude give a speech and then the hero stops him. That's silly. I'm sorry. My man had the sonic boom on him. All he had to do is pull out the gat, blow, or just turn the sonic boom up like he did on the other man's.
Listen,
I think he was practical effects, but it didn't look.
Yeah, it was practical.
It didn't look good.
Yeah, it wasn't. Yeah. That shit on his head was not CGI. That was real. It just,
It didn't.
It was makeup and
yeah, it was makeup. But no,
I think Angstrom Levy, like you said, was more menacing. Like I just think they did it better. This to me was very like ugly dude in green makeup.
Yeah, that's
talking about probabilities.
Like if they switched it, and it was somehow Sidewinder was in for all of this. I would have been shit. I would have been scared. I'd have been like, oh, something he's going to kill. Like, I believe Sidewinder will fucking kill you the moment he can. And maybe that calls for a short movie, but I know he will. He's tried. He literally tried in our face. He tried. When that man shot up Sam's car and then threw the grenade in the window, I said, that.
Yeah.
That's a villain.
And then loaded up another clip to shoot some more.
It just got
Yeah. Like that was what I really liked. Like just in case all of that didn't murder you somehow.
And then the only thing he suffers from is hubris because he was just like, oh, target down. I'm about to go check.
Yeah.
Like, no, God, not yet.
And also his ruthlessness in blowing them cops away. Like you could have taken 1 second to get Sam instead of the cops. But that
shit was funny to me. It was just funny.
Hold up. That's what I'm saying. You can't do that. Like Thanos isn't like pulling punches, in his films. But
that's Thanos. And I think that comes back down to your original point, which is silly Marvel stories, because it's like they can't have a Thanos level person that had maybe a Fantastic Four will see that, where it's just like it's nothing but annihilation, because that leaves no room for the film to continue.
That's not what I'm saying. It's like it doesn't matter. Like Sidewinder wasn't pulling his punches.
No.
But somehow the leader, Sam Stearns, the leader, it's like, no, I'll just walk out the room and let these dudes, serve somehow.
I'm trying to find a defense here. He uses his brain, not his brawn. He doesn't well,
so he knew the probability.
He
has the probability
he has,
of
intellectual abilities.
Yeah, he has intellectual probabilities.
He never thought the probability of these niggas getting their ass beat, and you know.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know.
Like, why not just shoot them? He had them right there.
I thought he was a weird character. I'm sorry, Sam Stearns.
I'm sorry.
I was like, okay, guy, just get off the screen.
Here we can stop. That's the thing is, I love the leader. I love Sam Stearns. Man, yeah, missed.
You guys touched on something that I had lots of notes on, the CGI. I did not like the way it looked for Falcon / Captain America's wings. And I'm very purposefully saying Falcon / Captain America because
both of them.
And this is not a disrespect to what they're trying to achieve, what Sam Wilson, this version of Sam Wilson is trying to achieve by taking on that mantle. This is not a disrespect. This is just in terms of how it is executed on screen. I still feel like it's more Falcon than anything else. I'm not feeling, and this has nothing to do with Chris Evans and none of that, white people, none of that. None of that. I don't see. I see Falcon more than anything. I see Falcon in red, white, and blue.
That's a point.
And again, personal, just kind of personal thing, whatever. Yes, he has a shield. Yes, he has all the trappings, but I don't. And maybe that's because Sam as the character is still grappling with believing that he is Captain America. Because he's still struggling, I'm still struggling. I'm just like, I just kind of see a souped up Falcon, and now you got a sidekick. That's Falcon Jr.
I think that's not good enough because we're past the point where he should be struggling. He the series was him struggling. This should be
they showed him struggling. They showed him mentally struggling, I should say.
Yeah,
not physically,
but that's because that's a problem with the Marvel method of making these scenes is like they have to act like you have never seen the series. So they still have to have him go through that same struggle again that he went through in the series because they can't guarantee that you've seen the series. Right. So they have to make him like struggle with it at least a little bit. Because
in the series, he's accepted it.
Yeah, by the end of it, he's accepted it. He is fully on. I'm Captain America. I don't need the serum. I don't need any of this. This is who I am. And now he goes through the same, journey again in this film. It's like the same problem with Scarlet Witch, where she went through her same journey again in that movie. Because they had to act like you'd never seen WandaVision. It was a different journey, and she, but what? That's
that was and that was kind of a tangent of what my original point was, which was I didn't like the way the CGI looked on his wings. Like it looked disjointed to me. It didn't look like the live action. Like it literally looked. Here's some computer generated imagery behind a real life person. Like it didn't look mechanical. It looked like a digital representation of what his wings will look like. It didn't feel.
Archangel's
it didn't have
going to be mad.
Nadia, did you have another comment?
No. I was going to say that's how I felt about the third act. Like it looked like even especially in the cherry blossom. I'm like, you can't find a freaking cherry blossom. Like the whole background looked like a green screen.
It did look
behind him. It bothered me. It looked like they were just placed there. I was like, you can't find a fucking cherry blossom.
There was green screen like when there didn't need to be green screen, they could be in a random room.
I was like, y'all couldn't find a real ass tree.
Y'all couldn't find a real room. Like it was like there was.
You can't find a real room.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I will say that some of the graphics effects, I don't know. Well, not the effects. The effects were fine. It was the graphics sometimes that disappointed me a bit.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, we were saying for me the biggest downfall was that this was not shot in IMAX. So it was pretty upsetting that like a lot of it didn't look like clean.
Did you guys see it in IMAX? Because I did.
Yes.
We did.
Okay, so it wasn't shot in IMAX, but they showed it on an IMAX screen. So all the mistakes were even larger.
Yeah, it didn't look crisp and clean. Like it was not shot in IMAX.
And like I said, like you said, it looked like some of it was shot like for TV more so because it just
there was one scene where Falcon Jr. falls, he's like the first time you see him like flying around kicking ass. Oh, and he's like trying to be cute. He he gets down to the ground, and the way like he stumbles down to the ground, like you see when like the strings take over from where the computer and it's like you can see the wobbliness. You know that wobble that happens when you're trying to switch between digital to practical. And
I'm like, it's been over 20 years, Marvel. Like, you can't be doing this.
Yeah, I was like, I wasn't supposed to see that line. I see the lace. I'm not supposed to see that lace.
I don't like. Is it that they're losing their touch? Is it that they're rushing too many?
Getting lazy?
I don't think it's losing touch. Perhaps rushing. Rushing. But then again, wasn't this movie delayed because of rewrites and this and that? So I don't know.
I know I'm gonna get heat for this, but like I'm a Man of Steel fan, but that shit looks better than most of what Marvel has put out, and this shit is over 10 years ago.
You're not gonna get no heat for that. I'm with you.
Nah, I think Man of Steel, like there's, problems writing with
like, it's still beautiful. Like, why is it so difficult for them to do this when this is supposed to be like fucking Captain America?
I think it might be like anytime I see errors like that this late in the process, I'm just wanting to think it has to be because they was rushing. It has to be because they didn't give the animators enough time, or maybe they were cutting corners. It's not that they don't have the know-how. They clearly do. You've seen it.
Yeah.
This has to be some other practical reason, hopefully.
Because then, like, some of it looks great. Like when his had his damn palm, like that shit was amazing.
The Hulk was the shining gem. The Red Hulk, like that was. You could tell they spent all day and night, 40 days and 40 nights rather, on Red Hulk to make sure he was perfect, no problems. Then everything else was kind of like, you guys have a lack for words right now.
I want to talk about the end credit scene.
Okay.
Just feels like Marvel doesn't know where they're going anymore. Like, in the worst way. Like,
remember when it used to mean something?
But like, and I've said this before, like Marvel never had a real plan. That's the thing. It was a lot of luck and magic that allowed, Endgame and everything to work out where it seemed like, all this was really building towards this. Because it really wasn't. It was always just like, a movie, and then there'd be some random after credit scene, and halftime they were cute, and halftime they made sense, and halftime they had to retcon that credit scene later on because it didn't make sense with what they were doing anyway. So, but this was just like,
and
I'm not gonna say what happens in it because I don't, we spoiled enough. But it was like y'all can watch this shit on YouTube, fam. Like, I'm talking about the end credit scene, the movie itself. Yeah, no,
there's no mid credit scenes. It's only an end credit scene. That's another thing. Which is also slightly departure. Like sometimes they mix it up, but also I thought in the last few maybe 8 years or so, they've been doing both, whether they were worth it or not. And now, like, everyone sat there, and then when nothing happened mid credits, they were like, ugh. And then the whole audience was like that in my theater. And then at the end, it happened, and then everyone stood up, and like one guy actually said, "Why the fuck would they keep us here for that?" And then like walked out the theater. So I was like, well, he was upset.
Yeah. Damn. Yeah. It felt like, oof. Yeah, that was really, I don't want to say depressing, but good thing is I'm really hyped for Fantastic Four, so I don't know.
I am as well.
Yeah. This made me less hyped.
How? It's not even like in the same universe, technically, the same multiverse version. What you mean? How?
I don't know. It just feels like
this is not selling Fantastic Four for me. That's you on your own with that, buddy.
All right, well, yeah, you're right. You're right. I'm gonna trust that writer and director to do their own thing and not have, like I said, I feel like the biggest problem in this movie is that it got hampered by something, with politics. I think that's one of the big problems because it definitely got chopped up, and I feel like there was things they were trying to say that they couldn't say in the end because, nah.
I think most of my issues tie back to Falcon and Winter Soldier. Like, one of my biggest complaints about Marvel in general is they're scared to show blood now. And it really pisses me off because I feel like this was like the PG version of Falcon and Winter Soldier. And that shit was gritty. That shit was real. Like, there were not only like serious like subject matter, like Isaiah's story, we also didn't get any mention of you mentioned earlier, we didn't get any mention of his grandson. But I feel like they missed a lot of opportunities, and I want gritty darkness back. I want more feeling, more emotion, and blood, because they're superheroes. There's blood. Shit's gonna happen. People are gonna die. Like, I feel like Falcon and Winter Soldier felt tonally more connected to Winter Soldier and like the earlier Cat movies, where Marvel was like taking more chances. Now I feel like they're playing it too safe. Everything is like PG. There was no mention of Sharon Carter, the Flag Smashers, Baron Zemo. So it also felt like they were relying on Falcon and Winter Soldier, but at the same time they completely forgot about it, and it was just a Hulk sequel. Like, they kind of like missed some opportunity, like tying in more for Sam, essentially.
What did y'all think about that decision to tie it to combine Falcon and Winter Soldier and then the old Hulk movies and put them together? Because that's essentially what they did.
Yeah.
And then threw in Liv Tyler just, for shits and giggles.
Just for face
like
value.
For shits and giggles. But how did you feel
pointless.
about
that? This movie relies on you having seen that whole movie for a lot of it to make sense. You have got to have seen a whole movie that's not been referenced or even seen by a lot of people. I mean, the shit came out 15 years ago. But then, like you said, they don't want to reference a series that came out 2 years ago,
which was his series.
Like, it's so weird.
Was it 2 years ago? Or was it longer back?
A little bit.
It was longer. I think it was like 2019, right?
God damn. Yeah, time flies.
COVID messed up the
2021
continuum.
Yeah, 2021.
2021.
Okay, yeah,
4 years.
Yeah, even 2019 is 6 years ago now. God damn. Yeah. Wow.
It doesn't belay your point, though. Your point is.
Yeah, no, my point is, like, in those 6 years, now 4 years, they have not addressed, like you said, the power broker. They've not addressed his grandson should have shown up when my man gets thrown in jail. Like, that seems like a time, your grandson shows up to check on you. And none of that comes up in this film. So it doesn't really, that is a choice that really makes sense. And that was my point. That's pretty much one of the last thing that I have to say is, like, I remember when they first introduced the idea of going from movies to TV and all this stuff. And I was like, okay, it's all going to be on Disney Plus. So now they don't have the excuses that they had when Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. was out, when none of that connected at all. And then we're right back at that now. And that seems so sad because the chance and the possibilities they had to do something really ill was there, and they haven't up to this point.
Yeah.
None of the shows have mattered other than you might get a little more context. Like, let's say on the Miss Marvel, like I told people, if you watch the Miss Marvel show, you'll like the family more, but beyond that, you won't, there's nothing to know about it. Like when you watch the Marvels, if you watched Falcon and Winter Soldier and then come in and watch this film, you'll have a little more. But if you didn't,
I don't know. That's a gift or a curse. It's like they're trying to appease two gods at the same time. People who want to watch the shows and people who don't want to watch the shows. And I don't know.
You can't do that. But then why, like you said, why would you reference a 15, 16, 17-year-old Hulk movie?
Multiple times.
I mean,
major through lines.
Yeah, it's a sequel.
Major through lines were referenced
a weird
from
sequel.
the 15-year-old movie. But
yeah.
Listen.
That was a choice.
It's a choice. I will say lots of choices, lots of notes I had about this movie, but still, despite those notes and choices, I still think it was a decent film. I still think, like, if someone said, "Yo, is this on the board in the movie theater, should I go watch it?" I'd be like, "Yeah," because it had, and also at the end of the day, it does still have major implications. Y'all touched on it already. Again, I guess mad spoilery review. We're gonna have to do a separate non-spoiler review at this point, but the adamantium, the whole celestial thing, like the whole connection with the raft and where that's going, and the unnecessary end credit, which was just talking about about what's already happening in the MCU. Those were major. Still, at the end of the day, major foundational points, because
I think about it should have been like, word, nigga, like,
where we are right now.
Tell me something I don't know.
Yeah, where we are is at the end of Phase 5, because then there's, after the Thunderbolts, then Phase 6 begins, I believe it begins, but Fantastic Four is in phase 6. So like this is like this is like the tail end of phase
you're
5.
right. The Thunderbolts is like supposed to be the Avengers of this phase.
Yeah, we're in so in terms of holding space, what they said for that other movie, in terms of holding space in phase 5, this holding space, but it's also a foundational point for the next part of the MCU journey. So I still think it's an important watch. I don't think you're going to get every single thing that you may want out of a Marvel movie by far. I think you may be disappointed, but I still think it's a solid film.
Phase 5 went down bad, didn't it, boy?
Damn. Why you had to?
Because 4 is Endgame, right? Like that's phase 4, right? I mean, I've lost track. I don't know why they're still doing this, but like I said that after phase 1.
Well, they got to keep track of it somehow, right?
Why? They're just movies. They don't need to do that. People already know they connected. Like,
I feel like before it made sense. Now they don't know what they're doing.
Phase 4, they're including. Well, see, this timeline is all off. I'm looking at an old timeline, but I guess that was included.
What, Endgame?
Maybe.
Yeah, that's 4. Yeah, and then phase 5 is where we're at now after Endgame.
Okay. Endgame seems so long ago.
I thought that was like the end of 3.
I thought so too. Yeah,
I feel like there's been a lot of like mediocre.
That makes more sense. So that's 4 and 5 were that bad, but there was no Avengers movie after Endgame.
We're just in a bad time right now.
Spider-Man: No Way Home was in the phase 4. Is that what happened? I don't even know anymore. All right, let's wrap this up.
But my whole point is we're at the end. Okay, we're into a new era.
That's what Marvel said.
We're trying to enter into a new era of Marvel, and
that's exactly what they said. Let's wrap this up.
We're trying to enter into a new era of Marvel. Okay. Any just wrap up points you wanted to make, Nadya?
Just it's fun. I like I said, I like Sam and Joaquin.
Yes.
He proves to be like a trustworthy like sidekick partner, and he has a lot to learn, but they have a really fun dynamic, and I'd like to see more of them in the future. The fight scenes were fun. And yeah, I think it's a worthy watch. Like I said, I enjoy seeing Mackie on screen. It's like a 7 for me.
Okay. I would probably rate it a 7 out of 10, a 7.
Yeah, out of 10, it's definitely a 7. Yeah. 7.5. We talked about all the good things. I really enjoyed the Red Hulk. I just would have liked to see the Red Hulk because I really enjoyed seeing him bust Mackie's ass. Like, I would have liked to see him be able to, whoop on a few more people, somebody tougher maybe, so he could have really just, hammered the living life out of him. But, it was cool enough for what it was.
Yeah, just to tag on that real quick, what I did like with Red Hulk is that, because I've hated how Marvel has handled the Hulk lately. He's like terrible lately, like absolutely terrible. He's a jobber. He has no purpose. He's nothing. He's a happy guy in the corner. Like no. So I liked seeing like an actual Hulk like messing shit up.
Yeah, I'd like Professor Hulk more than most people, and I think
him.
Yeah, I don't know, because the one thing I have to doesn't disagree with, like, you, I get it, but like when men are like, oh, and it's like that turns into that whole fanboy weak shit, so, but I feel you. I like seeing the Hulk mess shit up, and I like him, like I say, him casually destroying classic monuments. Yeah.
Historic buildings
left
Half
and right.
The White House is wiped.
Yeah, we just left and right, and slapping the shit out of Captain America. All that was great. So yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that's the last point. I think this is my long-term complaint about Marvel. Picking and choosing when you want to show power levels and when you don't want to show power levels, and not being consistent with that. How does both Falcon Jr. and Captain America have trouble with 5 armed guards in a room, but Sabra's little ass can run through a hallway of 10, no problem, handling them on her own? So
she was like a troll. We talking about that. She was like 2 feet.
2 feet, bro.
This is not exclusive to this film. This is just a Marvel thing. And again, it's plot armor. I get it, whatever, but it's like annoying many, many times where it's like, guys, is the person nerfed or not? If they OP or not? Like, I don't understand how they're OP one moment and then they can't take a punch the next. So I don't know.
That's why I didn't like Hawkeye.
All right.
Wow.
Nadya, let the people know where they can find you at out here on these internets.
Yeah, so you can find me at Gotham Geek Girl on YouTube, Instagram, all the channels, and my website, gothamgeekgirl.com. And you can find me on Rotten Tomatoes and see what other sites I write for. My full review for Captain America is going to be on Big Old Belt Media.
All right, there we go.
Bet.
And, as always, you can find me on all the socials at DJ Ben Amin. This is Tatiana King. We are at For All Nerds on everything. You can find all of our great stuff on forallnerds.com. Make sure you head over there, grab some merch for yourself, like this Gucci Mandalorian joint that I have right now, or the one Tatiana's wearing. The Black ampersand legendary right there, rooting for everybody black. You know what I mean?
Might be backwards on your screen.
No, it's good. It's good.
You see it?
Good.
Okay.
Yeah, it's good. Yeah. So all those will be available on forallnerds.com, along with a lot of other stuff coming very soon to that site. So make sure you check that out. What else we got to let them know about?
Make sure you are subscribed to us on everything, as Ben Amin said, following us, For All Nerds. Please, if you like what you hear, like what you see, we enjoy and appreciate everything you do by sharing our show, telling people about our show, commenting, liking, spreading the good news.
Subscribing
is big. Watching. And also, if you want to support, we are an independently funded media outlet, meaning we do everything ourselves. So please, when you support us on forallnerds.com, all that goes back into this media brand. You can also go to patreon.com/forallnerds to support there as well, where you get access to exclusive clips, exclusive videos, episodes, access to screenings, or whatever free 99 stuff we have, we give directly to you guys. So thank you for everyone who is part of the fan fam and part of the Patreon team there. We salute and appreciate you. And also, as always, thank you to the lovely Luna and the lovely Joel for everything you do. Thank you.
Hey, y'all. Thank you for watching this For All Nerds video. Whatever video it was that you just watched, make sure you hit these buttons below. Press all those buttons, that like, that subscribe, whatever you see right below these fingertips right here. Just hit them. For All Nerds Show is a member of the Loudspeakers Network, where we always say rest in peace to our founder, Combat Jack.
For All Nerds Show is powered by our listeners. Everything we do, from our podcasts, live events, our website, are all independently funded. Please continue to support us through our Patreon page at patreon.com/forallnerds.